All right.
Okay. So, my name is Evgeny Kaplin. I'm the CEO of ModulTrade. In my previous life, I spent 17 years in trade finance business in such companies like Sberbank, Gazprom Bank, Cargill, and McKinsey. So now actually, I'm continuing to do my trade finance experience on the blockchain and the new fintech team, which we met in MIT. John?
Hi there, I'm Jean from ModulTrade. I'm the COO of ModulTrade. My previous life was mainly at Sodexo, 25 years of bringing technologies, innovation into the business, and in banks also in Crédit Agricole in France. Doing this innovation into the business and bringing new ideas to promote this business.
All right, so tell us what ModulTrade is and what you guys are working on.
Yeah, so ModulTrade, it is a blockchain ecosystem which allows enterprises, small enterprises around the world to trade directly. So we're opening global trade for small enterprises. And the core of the system, this is the smart contract platform, which replicates some banks' instruments like letter of credit or guarantee, and bring it to the world of small enterprises at almost zero cost, compared to like 5 or 15%, which was before with the banks. So we are simplifying the trade with the blockchain technology and bringing it.
Could you break down the difficulties and what is going on in global trade finance? Like you mentioned letter of credit, like how is this done traditionally and how does doing it on the blockchain change that?
Mm-hmm. So letter of credit, the instrument in trade finance, this is the most common which was used in like previous trade finance life. It actually was the instruments for the large corporates, and only big and large corporates can afford to do the business. And blockchain, the smart contracts, it is kind of natural solution which absolutely perfectly replicates letter of credit. And the most interesting thing is that in case of smart contract, you don't need the bank, you just need the smart contract itself, which replicates the contract. So in simple words, we are delivering, ModulTrade delivering the instrument on the smart contract, the bank instrument on the smart contract without the bank. That's the point.
So if someone's buying goods internationally, rather than the bank and getting a letter of credit, they have a smart contract that guarantees that the seller is going to be paid.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And in addition to that, this is the core of the platform. And in addition to that, we provide the places where the SMEs can meet each other, so the marketplaces. So they can meet each other, reliable counterparties, goods at optimal prices, and so on. And in addition to that, we also delivering additional service related to trade, which SMEs need during the trade cycle, like logistic, insurance, tax, bookkeeping. So in all SME will receive the application where you can just download and become the global player. And you receive end-to-end service, and you will receive, in addition to that, you will receive the financing, which will allow you to start the trade.
Okay, so if you could break down those functions that you mentioned, for example, logistics. Mm-hmm. How does your system do logistics for starters, and then you can go into the insurance or tax or other things after?
Mm-hmm. So, for example, you go to the marketplace and you choose the product, and in order to deliver, you have you just have to push the button. The trade is ModulTrade, and you can choose the logistics there. So you don't need to go somewhere; you just have it in one place. And if you want to trade to be more secure and safe, you just implement the insurance there. And the good thing of the smart contract that everything could be implemented and built on the smart contract. So there is no paper, so there is no middleman, it's just implemented into the system.
So I get that you're doing it with a smart contract system, but how does that smart contract system function?
Mm-hmm. So the smart contract itself, it's kind of if and yes, which has the same way like in the trade contract. So in the trade contract, you have different terms and conditions like price, terms of delivery, where you have to deliver the goods, and when you have to pay. And the smart contracts can replicate each of these points of the contract. And then as soon as the contracts will be, the terms of the contracts are met, the smart contracts will execute exact points. For example, buyer and seller, they agreed to to buy something. So then buyer will place money on the smart contract and seller will be able to see that the money is there. Upon it is done, the seller will just put the goods in the, for example, DHL and put the tracking delivery number into the smart contract. So once the smart contract will see that the goods are delivered to the place where the buyer is, so like the conditions of the smart contract are met, smart contract will release the funds to the seller. So that's the basic of it.
Okay, so another thing that you mentioned is the supply chain tracking system. I think this is what Christian was mentioning at the beginning of the interview is what the product, like how does this relate to what you're talking about for global trade finance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one of the main problems for SMEs, it is the way how to deliver goods. And the application which allows to implement a logistics service and to bring it in a simple way to enterprises, so it will help them to start trade, so that it will break the barriers which before was not able for small enterprises to participate. So in our case, we just implement the logistics services into our platform, so the enterprises can see it and use it in their trade activity.
So are these importers, exporters, that when you say users, or do you mean people?
We actually talk about B2B segment. So we and our audience micro and small enterprises. So we're talking like really about small enterprises here. And conceptually, we're considering B2C segment, but our audience in initial terms is B2B segment.
So how does being in crypto affect the small enterprise that you're targeting? Can they already get another service provider to do this kind of thing for them, or is this a brand new service?
In the previous world, banks were providers of such a service, but the problem is that something like more than 50% of requests of small enterprises was rejected by the banks. So, and here there is really a big demand compared to 7% for large enterprises. Now there is different startups which were trying to implement some functions of the trade service. So yes, there is some new ideas there. There is some big players like Alibaba, but it's in a different way. So they're still not using the blockchain and they're not open ecosystem. So yeah, there is some new intentions to build this, but there is really no like end-to-end solution for the whole B2B trade cycle.
So you mentioned that the banks provide the service. They might do the letter of credit or a bank guarantee, but they're not doing any logistics or supply chain tracking or anything like that, right?
Yeah, so in most cases, they just execute the financial part of the trade. And this is conceptually could work for the large enterprises, which can afford to work with different counterparties. But small enterprises are really looking for the all-in-one solution. So it will be easy to execute. And of course, then looking for the cheap solution. So, and here you really need to think how to implement on the IP level to make it cheap and effective.
Okay, so on a blockchain technical front, is this built on Ethereum or is this built on a different blockchain?
We use for our prototype Ethereum. So, and for initial stage of our product, the speed and functionality of Ethereum is enough. So the base is Ethereum for now.
All right, are you planning on doing something else in the future? Because you say that the performance is enough for now.
Yeah, so in case of big scalability of the project, which we expect in, let's say, within 3 years, we might be faced with the problems of the speed of the Ethereum. So, and we're already thinking about how to solve this problem and to use other solutions which will allow to make the product for a big scale of enterprises, I mean, from terms of number.
Okay, so one of the things in your white paper that crops up repeatedly is this idea of democracy in global trade. So you seem to have a vision for what global trade looks like under this kind of architecture. How is that different from the current free trade environment?
But yeah, that's the really good point of ModulTrade. So the free environment which we see now, it's environment for the large corporates in the international trade, in the global trade. And there is certain barriers which doesn't allow to small enterprises to become the partners, the real partners in the global trade. It's like lack of trust, so they really don't know each other. The other one is high entry costs. And in addition to that, it's like lack of financing. So this is the other part. And bringing the solution which will break these barriers will allow, this solution will allow enterprises, small enterprises, to become really equal partners in the global trade and to be, I would say, probably even more efficient than the big companies. So meaning that we conceptually create the environment in the global trade where new players will be more efficient and they have more appetite and actually willingness to trade, and they'll be really changing of the trade environment. So that will really bring to another understanding of the supply chains in the global trade and the new players, and a lot of changes will be in the trade finance because of these solutions.
So small businesses on the international stage has some question marks associated with it. For example, customs, import export is sort of an inherently complicated thing to be doing. Does your system address the difficulties of going across boundaries of countries at all, or?
Yeah, this is one of the advantages of the ModulTrade. In addition to the smart contract platform and marketplaces, we also provide the platform for third-party trade-related services. And the list of these services will include logistics companies, custom brokers, and other services which relates to the trade. Meaning that the final goal of this platform is to have all services which are needed to provide end-to-end service for trade cycle and to have all the problems solved.
And I guess the other question for small businesses is they're usually less stable and less reputable than perhaps a large one. There's more danger that you order something and it doesn't arrive, or it's defective and the business is, whatever. Do you think that that's a concern? What about reputation and reliability on a small business to small business?
Thank you for this question. And one of our solution of ModulTrade is trade and reputational bank. Based on the trade history of the participants of the platform, we will create the rating and we'll create what we call reputational capital. So on the social scoring and the history of trading, every company, every user will receive like limit and related fee. So everyone in the platform will be able to see the reputational score, the reputational capital of the company. So they'll be understanding who you trade with, you can choose reliable counterparties. And also the other part of the platform, we are thinking about providing financing based on this reputational score. And other players of the platform, which, for example, the token holders of ModulTrade, will be able also to provide financing based on the reputational score of the users. Yeah. And of course, to secure them, there is our core solution. This is smart contract letter of credit instrument, which add trust. So you know that you receive money if you deliver goods, or if you deliver goods, you'll receive money.
So this reputational score, how is that determined? Like, how does it how does the system arrive at this vendor is reputable and that one is disreputable?
Yeah. So there is two legs of it. So one is the statistic and the history of the trading. So the more you trade better and with a good reputation, the higher the score. And the other is like network in which you're trading or social scoring. So what it means, if you have 10 counterparties which can recommend you, so you have the better score. Or in other words, so if you have 10 friends or counterparties which pay in their debts, so most likely you will also pay the debts. It's like social scoring based on the social analytics.
So the 10 friends that vouch for you, is that really the way that this is calculated for import export trade?
It's yeah. So you need to have good counterparties which you work with, and these counterparties have to recommend that, or just say that the guy we are working know him and he is good in his terms of delivering the contracts, and based on it we will make the score.
What constitutes a good counterparty for people that don't understand that term or that term in business?
Sorry, say it again, please.
I say, what constitutes a good counterparty? Like, I could vouch for Evan all day long, but like, are we going through a KYC process, or do you actually have a business set up? Do you have years of business? Like, because you can't import all that data to the blockchain or into the system right away. This is something that you have to join ModulTrade, and then from what I heard, you have to have a trade history. But if you already had history outside of ModulTrade, that's where we're trying to transition. So can we get into that?
Yeah. So at the first stage, we plan to work with the marketplaces which already have their clients, and they have understanding of their clients, some statistic of the trading. So that it will be the initial input which will be used for creating the reputational score of on the platform. So, and also we plan to do like this social scoring, so which is based on the information which you received on the factors which you're able to find in the internet, which are public. So meaning that there are two ways. One for building the score, the information of the counterparties from the marketplace and the public information.
Do you think that there's any danger of people attempting to game this reputation system for their own advantage? I mean, we've already seen this happen on, for example, Amazon, where some vendors will make shill reviews for themselves.
So there will be definitely such cases. There will be fraud cases, and there is for sure, we know about that. And our model is based that in total, people would like to trade properly. So they really would like to do the proper trade. But the certain percentage, like 10, 20, 30% of these people will be like on the bad side. But most of them, they will be on the good side. And this proportion, so we can discuss it. But overall, given that the most people will be doing trade properly, will cover the cost of the bad trades. So this is the model.
Well, I think the difference about import-export is you're not really going to have that much data to work with. These deals are going to probably be larger than a consumer purchase like you might find on Amazon.
The deal size, you might be surprised, but the people really want to trade with the small pieces, which doesn't cost a lot. The question is the cost of the logistic and the cost of the transaction. So, and if you allow people to do it in a low cost and efficiently, so then they can start trading like with really small amounts. And starting from them, you can go to other like big contracts, but probably for ModulTrade will be the next stage.
Well, I mean, a realistic case might be somebody in a small business wants to order a shipping container full of some product, and that would be one transaction, right?
It could be like one container, it could be one transaction, but at the same time, we expect, so once they'll be certain supply chains, new certain supply chains established, it will be a regular business. So, for example, we did an analysis of difference for prices in different countries, and we found out that some construction materials like paints have up to 10 times price difference in, for example, Poland or Italy. So there is clear pricing arbitrage, which will push to create the new channels in the trade, and they need just the solution.
So would a decentralized system like this basically blow up the opportunity to have such a radical price arbitrage between two countries? Because the people in the country getting screwed are going to go onto this platform and be like, we are getting totally screwed on the price of paint.
The beautiful part of the platform that it will cover most of the risks which counterparties could have in the trade. So, and meaning that the platform will bring them this price difference, an ability to trade, and also the confidence, the trust, which will allow them to trade.
So what factors lead to that kind of price difference in different countries? Is this like tariffs? Is this import-export policies of some type? Like, why is it that a product like paint, which you'd think would be really simple, would have such a radical price difference in two different countries?
Yeah, good question. So there's different explanation of it. So the simple one that some countries simply have the specialization on some products, and they have the lower cost, like electricity cost or water cost, lower than the other countries. Of course, there is some regulations which also can influence the price for different products. And the barriers, which sometimes you can see in certain countries for trading. So it's like economic cycle. There is a lot of another arguments which can play there. So the main point here that there is a price difference, and there will be price difference in different countries. So it's like a stable. It's like the fact. So it will always be there.
Well, currently there's a great deal of cost and complexity with international shipping, and what you're proposing presumably would make that more accessible to more businesses to reach into another country and purchase something or sell to another country, which you would think would have the effect of equalizing the prices of products in different countries.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yeah. So platforms like ModulTrade, they will connect the service providers to the trade participants. So, and for example, shipment companies, they will also have the direct access to the new niche, to the new customers, and it will change the way how they will be doing the business. For example, now they need to contract with the big companies, and in case of providing the big supply of small businesses, small contracts, they will be able to serve this new niche, and it will also change the way they will be doing the business. And shipping companies and other companies as well, which are involved in the trade business.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, currently we're in a situation where going into another country and buying a lot of paint or some other product is hard. And so Mega Paint Co. can do it. They can go into a different country and order a ton of paint, whereas Little Paint Co. just it's not got the resources to do that. It can't go to another country and get its product, so it doesn't. It just buys locally.
Yeah. In short way, yeah.
Okay, so how does this product, how does this change the calculus of international trade? I mean, it seems like you're suggesting a system that would make most types of products dependent on where it's being made the cheapest and the best, and the price to ship it somewhere. Plus a little bit of transaction related.
In other words, we can call that such solution like ModulTrade will create the most effective supply chains. So what it means, when you know where is the best quality product with the best price and where is the most effective shipment for this product, you can recommend to every enterprise the new ways, the new places where they need to buy. So you can just go to enterprise and say that now you would prefer, in order to have your product better, to buy from China like these components, and from India this component, because it is cheaper, the quality is better, and the delivery terms also is better for you. And overall, you receive the better product with the better quality and with lower cost. And it will significantly change how the people will interact with each other. So like there will be more efficient ways to build the products.
It's interesting you mentioned the delivery terms, because those are presumably governed by your smart contract, right?
Delivery terms now they're based on the what we can receive from the logistic providers. So, for example, DHL can certain delivery terms, and now small enterprises have to accept it. But I would say that there will be changes in this direction. They will start adapting for the new players.
So, does ModulTrade change the terms that parties are using in any way, like proposing standardized ones or saying you have to use these ones if you want to use our platform? Or are you saying you can use whatever agreement you're already using? We're just going to connect people up to you.
Mm-hmm. So we will help people to have the trade easy. And in order to do it, so we need to have easy contracts and easy terms how to agree this contract. We will try to standardize. Of course, we will try to implement all the willingness of the small counterparties. But the thing is that we really try to create something new, which they like. So we'll create the instrument, not like 24 pages contract agreement, but really simple one. So this is the first stuff part. And regarding the services, yes, now there's certain solutions which we want to deliver them, but as I mentioned, there will be changes which will just follow the demand from the small enterprises. So there will be changes in the service providers.
Do you think that there's going to be a tremendous difference in the amount of bargaining power between one of these large, established, already successful import-export big companies and these little companies that are just newly coming onto the scene using your platform?
Now, big companies, they really have absolute power in the trades and the global trade. And with the change of the system, with the solution like ModulTrade for the small enterprises, so small enterprises really become effective. And I would say that will allow them to be equal or probably even more effective than the big companies. Why? Because big companies just get used to the big offices for like big bonuses and so on. And small companies, they just need to survive in this world. So once the small ones will receive the instrument to be more effective, so really, and to play an equal part, on equal terms, so they will just be more effective than the large companies. So, and the bargaining power.
I know you're saying that the little companies are going to be more effective, but I think historically speaking, it's generally economy of scale that makes these large businesses, they have more efficient production, they have more bargaining power to get better deals because they're operating at scale, and they have more market power to affect the way that the market operates. Like they have more control over the price, for example. And do you think that that's going to be the way that it is on this platform as well, where even though the small player has access to the marketplace, they may not be as powerful as I think the big players who are already in it?
Yeah, of course, large players, they have the power and they will continue to have the power. But at the same time, when we see the new flows, like a lot of small companies will start to buy from somewhere, it will be another power, another energy, which will be able to have the same or equal, at least, influence in the market. Like when you go to some country and saying that you will be able to bring 10 or 15% of the construction industry from Italy, from Germany, so you have the bargaining power and to change the rules and to change the market.
Do you think that this applies to labor as well as shipping widgets or other products, that this also affects, like you were saying, construction would also be affected by people and not just by the price of steel?
Yeah, we live in the people world. So, and of course, people motivation, this is the first one. And I think the efficiency is the key here. So, and based on the efficiency, people will start taking decisions of how they want to be implemented and how to trade.
So is it part of this platform that people are also going to cross international borders and work in places and
so people so when we talk about the micro business, so micro business could start like from 2 people or even from the one guy who is running the business. So, and from this perspective, so it's really more like collaboration of people, of small communities of people. Yeah, so this is like really on the border between business and people trading.
So a micro business of just a couple people, you think that they could have an international presence on ModulTrade?
Exactly. Once you install the application on your iPhone, or sorry, on your any phone, so you can become the global player. So that's the beautiful of the ModulTrade solution. And given that we use the cryptocurrency in the ModulTrade system to enable them to trade in crypto, you even don't need to go to the bank. You just need to install the application. So that's
what kinds of products would 2 or even 20 people be contributing in quantity enough to make an international presence felt?
The quantity. This is the question of the price difference. So if it is makes sense to buy any product, paints, like even one small container, and it will be effective for you with the shipment cost. So you can do it, and there is such examples.
So what about the critical mass notion in your white paper? It seems like you're looking for a large number of people to get onto your platform and to collectively, like, network effects are going to make this more of a deal than a single centralized major importer exporter.
Okay, so on the critical mass, and probably a bit more about go-to-market strategy of ModulTrade, we decided to go to construction business because construction business, it has the most number of SMEs compared to other industries, and in addition to that, it has the most value add into the economy, like bigger margin. So this is the first criteria. And in addition to that, construction business also implementing other global value chains. So once you in the construction business, you can go to other parts of the supply chain. And to create the critical mass, we understand that we need on board kind of like 10-15% of the construction companies in certain countries. And we plan to go to Italy, France, and UK market first. So, and our model expect that we will be able to build it within 2-3 years, up to 10-15% in the construction industry. And then, as I mentioned, the next stage will be go to other value chains which are connected to the construction. So first we go on the small segment, which with the most value added, and then we expand from there.
Okay, so what about the third-party marketplace? Is that something that's later in the timeline for this plan, or is it something you're going to develop sooner?
Certain services like logistic will be implemented right away, and then we will be adding new services step by step. So the next one we're thinking about is insurance, then tax, bookkeeping, and so on.
So this third-party marketplace is for services like logistics, tax, insurance, rather than for the goods, right?
Yeah, so there will be like 2 parts of it. So first part is the marketplace for goods. This actually not ModulTrade markets. So we'll be enabling with ModulTrade functionalities existing marketplaces. And then the ModulTrade itself, it will be the platform marketplaces for the third-party trade providers.
So if I'm an importer exporter and I wanted to use this platform, what would I do to do that?
You just simply install application, You just go through the KYC processes, and you see marketplaces which are enabled with ModulTrade functionality, so you can start buying from it. So, and you can also receive the credit in the cryptocurrency, which in the crypto token of ModulTrade, in order to start buying. So you need just application and just go start buying.
So how does the token interact with the system? Is this people are buying products amongst one another using the token?
Yeah. So in order to do every trade on the platform, you need to pay commission, and this commission has to be paid in ModulTrade token, MTRC. So this is the first part of the token. So, and then we expect that the token will be used as the method of payment for the goods. So we'll be providing a token to companies, like credit to the companies, so they will be able to start buying on the platform. And at the same time, we will agree with the marketplaces, with merchants, that in case they receive tokens, MTRC for the goods, so the ModulTrade will buy back this token. So in order to have,
one of the major pain points about import-export is currencies. So basically, you're suggesting that they're going to use your token in place of their preferred currency, right?
It will be additional services. So we'll provide payments in fiat currencies, especially for the beginning of the product, in order to get introduced to the market. And in addition to that, we will enable users and marketplaces with the payments in cryptocurrency. Yes. So
okay.
They will.
So company importer-exporter in country A likes country A's currency, and other counterpart business in country B likes country B's currency. So you're saying that rather than do the business with one another and swap the currency, they will each respectively buy the same type of token. They'll settle up, is that correct, in the token?
So let's imagine that you have the price in two currencies. So one in your local currency and the other price in the MTRC token. And then you will be able to understand what is the price and the price differences in two different countries. So, and we expect that once the MTRC token will be get used by the companies, so the trade will start happen in MTRC token. So there will be kind of the global value, which will be equal to the goods, which will represent the goods value, and it will be the MTRC token. So there will be no correlation like to the economy. When you talk about certain currencies, it will be correlation to the trade which will happen on the ModulTrade platform.
So the currency in each respective country that the companies are trading among is obviously affected by a lot of factors, but generally they're pretty stable because of the size of the economies that we're generally talking about, like the US dollar, tremendous economy that is being done in US dollars, so generally perceived to be fairly stable. Obviously, when you have two different currencies, they fluctuate a little bit amongst one another. Mm-hmm. You're talking about adding in a third currency, especially a crypto currency, which is probably going to be pretty unstable, realistically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So isn't that a significant disadvantage to using a cryptocurrency token as an intermediary between two, yeah, they fluctuate and yeah, that's annoying, but still relatively stable fiat currencies?
Yeah, so it's very good questions. And as I mentioned, first of all, we implement in our product payments in fiat currencies. So the people will be using what they get used to, like US dollars or other currencies. And then we implement the payments in crypto. And in case of MTRC, it will be linked to the number of trades which ModulTrade is executing. So of course there will be volatility at the beginning, but at the end, so when the platform just go to the real mode with the number of customers, so MTRC will be linked to the trade, which is on the platform. So the volatility will be correlated to the number of trades on the platform rather than the other fluctuation and of other cryptocurrency. And we expect this with the growing number of trades on the platform that MTRC will be stable currency, even more stable than currency which we see now on the market.
So the prices we're kind of seeing now are Bitcoin is interestingly, I mean, obviously it's still highly unstable, but it's becoming more ponderous in its movements than it was once upon a time where it was like insane.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing is stable coins. So are you thinking more along the lines of a stable coin or a Bitcoinish, just it gets bigger and it tends to slow down in its movement as it gets bigger?
Yeah, so we're thinking about more stable coin. So, and we're thinking about MTRC, which is have its sustainability linked to the trade. So it's not like linked to some other currency, back to back or in some formula. So in our case, this is the link to the trades, which is on the platform. So and that brings the stability.
The Bitcoin is huge now, and it is still quite unstable compared to a fiat currency such as the US dollar, right? So is it really realistic that your crypto token is going to get so large and be so stable that it would be comparable to, let's say, going between the currency of the United States and of China, for example?
So the question, the answer to this question in expansion of ModulTrade. So in case we go to the different markets and they have certain critical mass, so we will have the stability of the trades which we will have on the platform. So we will provide the stability. This is most important. So, and once the people understand that there is some currency which are stable and easy to use, so there will be expansion of this currency. So based on these factors, so there is a certain way for certain currencies to really play significant roles in the future. That's our belief.
So what I was kind of anticipating that you were going to respond was that even though it's perhaps not going to be as stable as something like the US dollar, it's a lot easier to move, especially internationally, than a fiat currency like the US dollar.
Right? Of course, usability of cryptocurrency is really one of the advantages, and that's of course the big plus of ModulTrade crypto token as well.
So do you think that it's more likely that a importer-exporter in China and an importer-exporter in the United States, just to take two countries, would both say it's advantageous for us to do at least some of our business in a shared common international token, even though there's some risk because its value is going to move?
In case they will believe in the stability of the token, and there will be the scale which is necessary for the scale of the business which they're having, there will be demand for it. So they will start to look to the new opportunities and to trade in other more efficient currencies like ModulTrade crypto token.
So basically, what steps are being taken to make it a stable coin as opposed to a coin with no stability functionality like Bitcoin?
The main point that ModulTrade crypto token is linked to the trades, meaning that it's linked to the commissions which are based on the trade. The concept of the ModulTrade itself, it's the base for the stability of crypto token. So just to go in detail there, so we are doing the trade. ModulTrade, this is a platform for trade. So the more trades are there, and the more stable flow of these trades, the more stable the crypto token.
Okay, so could you expand on what you mean by more stable the flow of the trade? So the commission that's being received every time somebody does a purchase, so they buy a container full of widgets, the entire value of that is being done as a transaction. What happens to the token that tends to make the price stable with the chunk that was just spent to buy the container ship full of widgets?
the amount or the liquidity of the token will be enough for market to absorb and to do the big deals, so which we expect. Of course, at the initial stage, there will be some fluctuation, but at a certain point, so after like second year, there will be enough liquidity in order to do the big deal without this fluctuation of the currency.
So essentially, you're saying there will be lots of liquidity. So if somebody buys it or sells a ton of it, it's not going to affect the price.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't necessarily mean that the price isn't going to move, though. Like just from some event changing everyone's perception. Maybe one year you announce some major import exporter has decided that they're going to start using the token, and then suddenly the price goes up.
Of course, there might be unexpected influences from somewhere, and we see that such currencies like US dollars and euro, they also have this fluctuation. So we, of course, cannot say for sure. But the base which we going to place under the logic and the philosophy of the ModulTrade crypto token, it leads at the end of the day to its stability. So that's
so if I understand what you're saying here, there isn't a stability function like there is in stable coins being made elsewhere. That there's not a deliberate like this will be a stable coin. It's just that the liquidity is going to be such that you're saying that it will provide a relatively stable value. That's the only real factor causing its stability.
Yeah, liquidity and the number of trades which we'll have on the platform. So the more trades, the more and on the bottom.
Can probably give an example. I mean, to illustrate this. When you are today in manufacturing, when you are manufacturing a piece, let's say a car, you have some subcontractors all over the world. Now they have their own subcontractors too, and if you want to achieve and to follow up on their subcontractors, so to follow up all the chain, you need something unique. You need a platform where you can, all those people are contributing to this manufacturing of the piece, let's say, of the car. So this is what we are referring at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how does this platform connect up with that manufacturing process?
Well, today this platform is meant. I mean, if we take the token today, the token will be let's say a mean to pay for all those who are participating to the manufacturing, meaning that when the car is ready, all those stakeholders will be able to achieve the traceability of the car. So with the same token, with the same token, all those people will participate to the construction of the car.
So a smart contract will say that the steering wheel pays out a certain amount,
yeah.
The wheels pay out a certain amount, the engine pays out, and so on for all the parts of the car.
And especially that all those people are not known by each other. So let's say the company that is manufacturing the car is not necessarily aware who are all the subcontractors. But with the smart contract executing, all those subcontractors will contribute to the manufacturing of the car.
Okay, so how does Internet of Things work with this system as well? You also mentioned quite an interesting Internet of Things application.
Kartik, you might
probably you can.
Okay, so I'll cover it. So Internet of Things allow to know what will happen if like container will go to some place. So and using the ModulTrade token and the smart contract platform of ModulTrade, you are able to track all the goods which are delivered from one place to another. So, and you will be able to see what will happen if, like, you will be able to follow the whole supply chains, like from the oil until the gasoline, and it will be linked based on the smart contract, which is on ModulTrade.
So I would add, I would add here a simple comment on the Internet of Things and the junction between the Internet of Things and the blockchain and ModulTrade. Well, basically, Internet of Things is about things dealing with other things. So executing some, let's say, tasks or contracts between basic things. Let's say you're in the gas station, a car arrives and gets gas, and there is this trade, let's say, or this transaction between the car and the gas station. The junction between the two. So the Internet of Things is about technology, putting the car, technology in the car that can discuss with the gas station. Where ModulTrade plays is that when the car can pay with the MTRC, or the ModulTrade token, to the gas station, meaning that you can trace the transaction from the car to the gas station on the platform. So this is where the junction is becoming interesting.
Okay, so if you just keep applying that one step at a time, you'd have this back propagation from the gas station to the truck that delivered to the gas station, to the, I guess, a pipeline or a ship or something to a refinery, and so on all the way back to wherever it originally came from.
Today, for example, there are some companies that are implementing, they call it the blue box. It's not referring to IBM, by the way, but it's implementing those boxes in containers, and those containers can discuss with each other in different chips using the satellite connection. When you put blockchain on it, you go further and beyond this step to transact between those containers because of the insurance, because of having delays in so paying penalties and things like that. So all those transactions will be able to be done on the platform.
So how does that actually behave on the blockchain? Is the item a token that is changing hands by being transferred from address to address? And
Yes.
if there's insurance service, how does that work? Is this a smart contract? Is this another address?
It is a smart contract that is linking the buyer, let's say, which is in this case a container, with the seller, which is another container or a merchant or whatever. So the smart contract will link it together, and given that in the smart contract you have put, as Evgeny stated in the beginning, you have put all the let's say all the conditions that can allow the transaction to be done. Those conditions will be executed automatically. So if the container is delayed, for example, the merchant will pay automatically penalty to the other merchant because of this delay. And it will happen automatically by the smart contract without going to the bank, to the hassle, whatever.
So where's the information for this system coming from? Like, how does it know that a package is delayed or if it's been lost or something?
Because on the smart, because on the platform, we has also the harbor that is receiving the container, and the harbor states that this container is delayed. So you have a third party, let's say independent third party, which is the harbor in this case, who is giving the information about the delay.
So the harbor is sort of another party that can supply information like an oracle.
Exactly, and this is why we were stating that ModulTrade platform, we have this open environment where all actors or players can can commit and execute their part of the deal. Like in the we were talking about the supply chain or the logistic company. In some cases, the logistic company is the oracle that gives the top of the delay, for example, or the delivery. In this case, we are discussing here, it is the harbor, and all of that is executed automatically with the Internet of Things, with the IoT.
All right, so before we shut this out, could we just run through this whole process? Because we sort of visited the pieces one at a time. But so we've got a shipment that is going from one country to another country. From the top to the shelf, step by step, what is happening under ModulTrade?
Probably I will help with the prototype which we have now. So the simple prototype which the people will use is so one, you agree on the contract, you set the smart contract. So this is the first step. So one, then you send funds using the smart contract, for example, Ethereum or Bitcoin or MTRC, or in case of fiat currencies, the amount is blocked on your credit card by the smart contract. So this is the first step. So the next step, the sellers see that the funds are within the smart contract or blocked on the credit card, and then the seller order the delivery service, like DHL or like another company. So, and once they order this delivery service, they put all the information to the smart contract. It could be in a way that you just put the tracking number, or DHL delivers the information that this delivery was taken from the seller and start the journey. So then the Oracle, through the IP, just reading the information where the goods at the exact point of time, and once it goes to to the buyer, so it releases the funds. In the intermediary, there could be different stages. For example, when you cross the border, so there is the custom, or there is some other points which you have to declare about the goods. So information about the steps also go to the ModulTrade platform. And for example, if you order the custom service, if the buyer ordered the custom service, so in the point of time when the goods are in the customer broker will be able to communicate and to do his stuff in order to goods will be tracked further. So that's just the simple example of how it works.
All right, awesome. I've run out of stuff to ask. Christian, you got anything before we close this?
Yeah, I mean, did you want to? It's up to you guys. But if you want to share, you know, the link to your MVP real quick, we can go through that, and then we can close with some crowd sell details, and really the tier structure you have for selling these tokens.
Yeah. Okay. So I will share the screen now and show the prototype which we have already delivered to the market. Okay. So hope you can see it now. So you go just to the modultrade.com and you can see the try our prototype. So and you go to the site where you can just simply trade. So there is like 3 buttons. It's meet, commit, and execute the trade. So if you want to meet the counterparty, so there is like the test example of a certain purchaser, or for example, if you want to create the offer, if you want to create the offer. So we just go as a seller. Just I will show you. Just create new proposal. So you put there like general stuff. For example, we say we sell 1 iPhone, and example description where you can find it. Then price per unit. I don't know. In case now we use the Ether, for example, like 6 Ethereum. this is the how many iPhones do we have. For example, I have 3, and the validity of my contract. So until when I'm able, so until I'm ready to sell it. So general information. Then you choose payments like Ether for the prototype. Then it will be MTRC and terms of delivery. Terms of payment advance. So then delivery terms, you can choose here any logistic companies. Now, for example, anywhere of logistic companies. And this step, you order additional services like guarantee, customs, tax support, and you just publish the contract. So the contract is published and you can just go as a buyer and see that this contract was created. So iPhone. So now you can see what is there, the price and so on. Okay, in case you like it, you just trade with ModulTrade. So you say that you want to deliver it. Okay, just put some example, New York, right? Sorry, okay, here. And that you are ready to buy it until 25th of October, just it. And you confirm the trade. So then you just send Ether to this address and the seller will see that the money there and they will send the delivery. And so on and so forth. So it's really the simple and workable prototype, which will be piloting in December this year with our partners marketplaces. So this is what we have.
So that Ethereum address that was listed to send to, that was the smart contract address that would release it upon delivery, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I will just switch it back. Sorry.
Well, that was a really quick demo.
Yeah, just don't want to use your time also. So, but the demo actually was showing that you can do the trade. So it's there is not difficult, so that every enterprise can just simply try and just to do the trade. That's the idea. So it will work. Okay.
Well, Christian, anything else before we close this one out?
Yeah. Let's just talk about the crowd sale. How people can get involved, KYC, if there is a KYC process, if you're blocking certain individuals from doing what countries are available to participate in the T's and C's. We can quickly go through that.
Okay, so ModulTrade now in the pre-sale stage. So we open our pre-sale on the 1st of October in Barcelona. We plan to open the main sale in end of November. Now during the pre-sale, we have the discounts. You can check it on our website. So we have very good discounts for all the adapters and participants. We collect funds in 3 currencies. It is Ethereum, Bitcoin, and fiat currencies. So we can do it. All the details you can find on the modultrade.io, and this is on the pre-sale. During pre-sale, we have 4 stages with the different discounts, and we plan to have main sale from November until January of 2018. So this is overall structure. Regarding the participants, we mainly concentrated for participants from Europe and Asia. So our crypto token is purely utility token. So there is no formal restriction to trade it everywhere. So this is overall structure of our token sale. Please ask me if I missed something.
I think that's good. So I guess everyone can get in contact with us on Slack and Telegram, correct? That's the best way to follow up?
Yeah, the best way to find us is Telegram. So we have blog and Medium. All the channels, of course, on the Bitcoin talk. All the channels you can find on our website, modultrade.com or modultrade.io. So we have 2 sites. So one is for the product, modultrade.com, and the other is for the token sale.
Right on. All right. Let's, it's been a really solid interview, I think.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure, you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much for having this chance to talk to you and to talk to people. So hope you like that ModulTrade idea. So it's really the simple solution on the blockchain to democratize the global trade, to open the global trade for the small enterprises using the blockchain technology. Please join us.
Fantastic. So this has been Coin Interview with ModulTrade, and we're signing out.